Hi, this is Yvette from the KMC University Help Desk. As many of you grow your practice, you think about what other services can I add to increase my revenue, which is a great thought to have. But as you begin to think, well, I'll just have a staff member do that, there's a few things to back up first and think about. Number one, what does my state board say about delegating services that are a constant attendance over to one of my staff members? Do they have to be certified? Even some of my supervised modalities, even to put on my eSTEM pads, do they need to be certified in my state? Now, after I get past the state, make sure there's no issue with the malpractice carrier, then I got to start moving toward what do the payers say? For some of you who maybe are enrolled and have a multidisciplinary practice, and you're actually having an athletic trainer, maybe people working under a nurse practitioner, you need to know what those rules are with Medicare regarding delegating access over to ancillary staff members. While it may be a novel approach to use this MPI and have someone else do it, it may not be allowable. And we found several instances in some states where it's a violation. So what I do is I will then at my office, if it's just chiropractic, straight chiropractic, and we don't have a multidisciplinary where we've got a nurse practitioner, maybe a physical therapist, and so forth, I'm just going to go look at the general medical review policy, which will be the same for all. But again, we'll get under different scopes of license when we're dealing with multidisciplinary. But let me take you on a little journey with me. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to be looking at that screen as we look at these. These are a few policies that I was able to find that kind of give you some pushback. Board may say it's okay, or we may get them certified, but now that we come over to the payer that I've signed on the dotted line of contract with, what did they say? So let's take a quick look while we're here at the KMC University Help Desk video today. So, as you'll notice here in front of you, we have a policy from one payer, and let's just read over these highlighted sections together. The therapy must be of a skilled nature and require the services of a qualified healthcare professional. When services are delegated, staff member, documentation must include details of what was delegated and who performed the service. Okay, well, let's go down. Now, under specifically the code 97110, this particular payer says, these exercises should require the skills of a qualified healthcare professional. Supervising patients who are exercising independently is not a skilled service. So some things that clue me in here are qualified healthcare professional. I want to make sure who falls under that, and is that delegation, does it has to be someone who's licensed? Now let's go under 97112, which we don't see a lot in your mainstream chiropractic office. But it says these activities should require the skills of a qualified healthcare professional. Supervising patients independently doing these are not a skilled service. So simply putting them on it and watching them from across the room. They're paying you extra for these constant attendance. Maybe like eSTEM in our office was $16.72 with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, but our 97110 was $37.33. So you can see they are still accommodating for the time. It's great if you can delegate it to a staff member, but you need to know that payer's requirement. So let me pull this down just to grab another one, and I'm going to pull this one up and we'll throw it up on the screen. Chiropractic services that do not require the skills of a qualified provider of chiropractic services. Examples include but are not limited to. And it goes down and it talks about those situations about can we delegate activities that require only routine supervision and not the skilled services of the chiropractor. When a home exercise program is sufficient and can be utilized. We're going to go down through here and find out what requires the skill of a qualified provider. Can it be delegated out? And when it's not super clear in the medical review policy or in your contract, so maybe it doesn't come out and say right here, well, this is what we have in front of us and we don't know. When we call the provider, you're better to play it safe than be sorry in the end. Find out what they say about delegation. If you're using the KMC University verification form, you'll find that right there on it. So let me quickly, I'm just going to close these out so I can get to that a little bit easier. we'll find another policy that gives just a little bit more detail, potentially, and it'll lean us in another direction. So the American Medical Association current CPT manual defines a modality, and it goes down. But it gets down into this section. Modalities may be supervised, which means that the application of the modality doesn't require direct one-on-one. So we know those are unattended services. This means that the setup and application of modality needs to be supervised by a physical therapist or someone that's in the scope of their license. But modalities that involve constant attendance, which indicates the modality requires direct one-on-one patient contact by the practitioner. So here's some keywords to look for as you go along. I had a little list that I kept as I created something for a client that we were doing some research on. Terms to look for in your policy: ancillary, incident to, delegated, delegate, delegation, supervised, supervised, non-skilled, unlicensed, qualified, or a qualified healthcare provider, other licensed, or staff. Those are some keywords, Control F, Command F, when you're looking at medical review policies. And again, if you don't know and if it's not clear, get on the phone and find out, because if it comes back records are audited, comparing it to the patient's story, you could have recoupments just because you didn't know. But now you do know. Let's get it taken care of. Let's find those medical review policies before we start delegating, or if we are delegating, let's make sure we can. Make sure we're operating within the lines of compliance. If you have any questions on this or any other topic, you know where to reach out to at KMC University.